Welcome to our channel. Today we have three terrifying true stories that happened in bowling alleys, places of laughter, competition, and unspeakable horror. We journey tonight into the echoing darkness between the lanes, into the cold, sterile silence of a place seemingly abandoned. Make sure to watch till the end if you dare. These stories, whispered to us over time, come from those who claim to have experienced the unexplainable firsthand. We've combined their chilling accounts with immersive storytelling, hoping to bring their nightmares to life. Get ready to delve into the dark side of bowling, where strikes and spares take on a whole new meaning.
It was supposed to be a night of fun, a casual competition among friends. The air crackled with laughter, the smack of the ball, the crash of pins, a familiar symphony of any bowling alley late on a Friday night. But for this group, the carefree atmosphere would soon give way to an icy dread that clung to them long after the last pin fell. It started subtly, a flicker of movement in the shadows at the edge of their peripheral vision. They dismissed it at first, attributing it to the dim lighting and their own imaginations, fueled by adrenaline and friendly rivalry. But then, the glimpses became more frequent, the shadowy figure more defined. One of the friends, a young woman named Sarah, noticed it first. A chill ran down her spine as she caught sight of a tall, gaunt figure lurking in the lane next to them, shrouded in darkness. It seemed to be watching them, its presence as unwelcome as it was unsettling. "Guys, do you see that?" she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Her friends, initially skeptical, turned to look, their laughter dying in their throats as they too saw the shadowy figure. It stood motionless, almost inhumanly still, as if it were a phantom burned into the very fabric of the building. They tried to ignore it, to convince themselves it was just their minds playing tricks on them. But the figure remained, a silent, menacing observer to their every move. The once comforting sounds of the bowling alley now seemed to amplify their fear, each roll of the ball echoing through the silence like a drumbeat of dread. As the night wore on, the figure grew bolder, moving closer, always staying just out of the reach of the flickering lights. They could feel its eyes on them, cold and calculating, sending shivers down their spines. The once playful competition had dissolved into a desperate attempt to finish their game and escape the suffocating presence that seemed to be closing in on them. Panic started to set in. Sarah, her nerves frayed, dropped her bowling ball, the loud thud echoing through the now eerily silent bowling alley. It was then that the figure moved, gliding towards them with an unnatural swiftness that defied explanation. They didn't wait to see more. Gathering their belongings in a frenzy, they fled towards the exit, the figure's presence looming behind them like a predator stalking its prey. They burst out into the night, gasping for breath, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they stumbled to their car, Sarah risked a glance back at the bowling alley. The shadowy figure stood silhouetted in the doorway, its eyes burning into her very soul. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, it was gone. The friends never spoke of that night again, the memory too terrifying to revisit. But they never forgot the chilling encounter at the bowling alley, the night their fun turned into a nightmare, forever haunted by the mysterious figure that lurked in the shadows.
Mark always preferred the graveyard shift. The solitude, the quiet hum of machinery, the eerie stillness that settled over the bowling alley after the last customers had left. It appealed to his introverted nature. Little did he know that his solitary sanctuary would soon become a breeding ground for terror. It started subtly at first, strange noises that he couldn't quite place. The clatter of bowling pins when no one was near the lanes, the distant rumble of a bowling ball rolling down the lane, only to find it still at the end of his shift. He brushed it off at first, attributing it to his imagination playing tricks on him in the dead of night. Then, things escalated. One night, while cleaning up near the front desk, he could have sworn he saw a shadowy figure dart across the end of the lanes, disappearing into the back storage room. He investigated, heart pounding, only to find the room empty, the air thick with an unnatural chill. As the weeks went by, the incidents became more frequent, more intense. He'd find bowling balls arranged in strange patterns, pins set up in impossible configurations. The air grew heavy with an unseen presence, a feeling that he was being watched, stalked by something not of this world. One particularly terrifying night as he was closing up, he heard a blood-curdling scream echo through the empty bowling alley. It seemed to come from the back office, the same one where he'd seen the shadowy figure disappear weeks earlier. Mustering his courage, he cautiously made his way towards the office, each step sending shivers down his spine. The door creaked open, revealing an office in disarray, papers scattered everywhere, the computer monitor lying shattered on the floor. And then he saw it, scrawled across the wall in what appeared to be dried blood. A single chilling message: "Get out!" Terror lent him speed he didn't know he possessed. He sprinted out of the office, out of the bowling alley, not daring to look back. The night air had never felt so good, so real, so safe. He didn't stop running until he reached his car, the engine roaring to life, a symphony of salvation. Mark never returned to the bowling alley, even in broad daylight. The memory of that night, the chilling message, the feeling of being hunted by an unseen force, was forever seared into his mind. The graveyard shift, once a source of comfort, had become a portal to his deepest fears, a terrifying reminder that some places are best left undisturbed.
The Harper family was excited for their weekly bowling outing. It was a tradition, a chance to unwind, to compete, to create lasting memories. But this particular Saturday evening would etch itself into their minds for a far more sinister reason, unearthing a haunted history that had long been buried beneath the polished lanes and cheerful facade. From the moment they arrived, something felt off. The air hung heavy, thick with an unseen tension that seemed to seep from the very walls of the building. Little Timmy, the youngest, complained of feeling cold, his eyes wide with a fear he couldn't articulate. As they made their way to their lane, they noticed a group of older bowlers whispering amongst themselves, their eyes darting nervously towards the back of the bowling alley. John Harper, the father, overheard snippets of their conversation: restless spirits, tragic accident, never the same. Intrigued, John approached the group, inquiring about the hushed whispers and anxious glances. The elders, hesitant at first, reluctantly shared the bowling alley's dark secret. Decades ago, a devastating fire had ripped through the building, claiming the lives of several teenagers trapped inside. Ever since, it was said that their souls, unable to find peace, haunted the lanes, their anguish seeping into the very foundation of the building. John, a skeptic by nature, dismissed it as local folklore, a ghost story concocted to spook tourists and newcomers. But as the night wore on, a series of unexplainable events began to chip away at his skepticism. Bowling balls veered off course, seemingly guided by an unseen hand. Pins toppled over on their own, as if struck by a phantom ball. The temperature fluctuated wildly, sending chills down their spines. Then came the whispers, faint at first, barely audible above the clatter of bowling balls and laughter of other bowlers, but growing steadily louder, more insistent. They seemed to swirl around them, whispering their names, taunting them, their voices filled with an unearthly sorrow. Timmy, his small face pale with terror, began to cry, pointing a trembling finger towards the end of the lane. "I see them," he whimpered. "The children, they're sad." John, his skepticism crumbling in the face of his son's terror and the increasingly disturbing events, felt a primal fear grip his heart. This was not a game, not a prank. Something dark and ancient had awakened within the walls of the bowling alley, and he feared it had taken notice of his family. Gathering his family, John made a hasty retreat, the whispers following them out into the night, a haunting reminder of the bowling alley's tragic past and the restless spirits that roamed its lanes. They never returned, the memory of that night forever etched in their minds, a chilling testament to the fact that some places harbor secrets best left undisturbed, and some stories are best left untold.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more chilling tales. Sweet dreams. But remember, the next time you find yourself at the bowling alley, amidst the laughter and the glow of neon lights, take a moment to listen. You might just hear the whispers of those who haven't left. For within those polished lanes and seemingly innocent gatherings may lurk a darkness unseen, a chill that lingers long after the last pin falls. And if you happen to see a shadowy figure out of the corner of your eye, or feel a sudden chill despite the warmth of the crowd, well, let's just say you're not alone.